the world has been sold a lie. A lie that women are these delicate, graceful creatures whose hearts are pure, whose souls are nurturing, and whose intentions are guided by a sense of unblemished virtue. The truth? Women are the most dangerous force on this planet. They are the hidden puppeteers of men, manipulating, controlling, and using their charm as a weapon to bend the world to their will. Schopenhauer saw it for what it really is: a cruel, unrelenting game where men are nothing more than pawns in a game they've never learned the rules to. This isn't about love, kindness, or any of the idealized notions that society has placed on women. This is about a cold, primal truth. Women exist not for the pleasure or good of men, but as instruments of the will to perpetuate themselves and their power. When Schopenhauer said that women are the other half of humanity's misery, he wasn't being hyperbolic. He was laying bare the darkest secret of human nature, the fact that, from the moment they are born, women are trained by biology and society to use their beauty, charm, and sex to trap men. They may play the role of the nurturing mother or the dutiful partner, but the reality is far more sinister. Every word, every smile, every flirtation is a calculated move. Women do not give themselves to men for love, nor for equality. They give themselves to control, to dominate, and to secure a position in a world where power is never freely given, but always earned, often through manipulation. Schopenhauer knew this, and it terrified him. The cruelty is not in what women demand of men, but in what men willingly offer them: sacrifice, soul, and ultimately, their destiny. We've all been sold the most beautiful lie: the idea that love is pure, that it's mutual, that it's about sacrifice and togetherness. But deep beneath the surface, the truth is darker, and Schopenhauer understood this truth better than anyone. Women do not love men in the way men imagine love to be. No, they love power, control, and security. The illusion of love is nothing more than a well-crafted performance designed to trap men in a cage of their own desires. Men fall for it because they want to believe in something greater, something transcendent, but what they fail to see is the silent manipulation at play. When a woman says, "I love you," what she's truly saying is, "I need you." And her need is not for affection or companionship. It's for the resources, attention, and protection that men can provide. This isn't about affection, it's about positioning. Women understand the art of manipulation in ways men will never fully comprehend. They've been fine-tuning their ability to deceive, to seduce, and to secure what they need from men for centuries. The moment a woman sets her sights on a man, she begins her performance. The charm, the warmth, the vulnerability, it's all designed to make him believe that she is giving him something of value, when in reality, she's only taking from him. The so-called romantic love that we idolize is merely a carefully constructed narrative, and the men who fall for it are the victims of their own desperation to be loved. Men live under the illusion that they are the ones in control of relationships, but the truth is, women are the true masters of the emotional game. They know exactly how to play it, and they do so effortlessly. They know that if they can tap into a man's vulnerabilities, his need for approval, his desire for affection, they can bend him to their will, and he'll be none the wiser. This is not love. It is survival. And for women, it is a game they will play until they get what they want. Beauty is a weapon, one that can either elevate or destroy. Women understand this better than anyone because beauty is their currency, their tool, their shield. The world may tell you that beauty is something innocent, something to be admired, but Schopenhauer saw it as something far more dangerous. It is not a gift, it is a strategy. When a woman presents herself, she does not simply show her face or her body. She is presenting a carefully constructed facade, a mask designed to manipulate, to captivate, and to trap. The beauty that men lust after is the same beauty that locks them in a cycle of self-destruction. Make no mistake, beauty is never random. It is an asset that women use to create influence and wield power over men. What you see as innocence is nothing but the first layer of a much deeper and more calculating game. Beauty is not just for admiration, it is for control. It is a tool to disarm, to disorient, to make men lose their sense of direction. Men, intoxicated by what they see, are often blind to the deeper intentions that lurk beneath the surface. They fall in love with what is seen, but what is seen is only the beginning of the performance. The world has conditioned men to place beauty on a pedestal, to idolize it, to make it the standard for value and worth. But the truth is far more brutal. Beauty does not equate to virtue, intelligence, or even genuine care. It's a mask. Women use it as a distraction, a lure, a way to make men forget that there is more to a person than what appears on the surface. Behind that mask is a mind that knows how to play on a man's desires, how to manipulate his emotions, how to control his actions. And the more men worship beauty, the more they give women the power to dictate the terms of their lives. Love. It's a word we hear from birth, something we all crave, something we believe to be pure, untainted. But let's face the uncomfortable truth. Love, as most know it, is a transaction. Women know this better than anyone. They use love as a currency, a tool to secure what they want, whether it's validation, comfort, power, or control. This isn't to say that love doesn't exist, but it is rarely as selfless as we are taught to believe. In the hands of women, love becomes a calculated exchange, a way to gain something in return for offering affection, loyalty, or intimacy. Think about it. The moment you begin to show affection, to offer yourself emotionally, is the moment you become vulnerable. Women understand this vulnerability, and they know how to manipulate it. They know that love gives them an advantage, a way to claim attention, devotion, and even power over the man who is enamored. The truth is, women often do not give love freely. They give it with conditions, expecting something in return. What they offer is not love in its purest form, but a facade of it, a soft and comforting illusion that entices you to surrender, to invest in them emotionally while they are calculating their own gains. This is why love can feel like a game, a never-ending cycle of giving and taking, of promises that are never fully realized. Love, when used as a weapon, is a way to secure control over the emotions and decisions of others. Women don't simply fall in love. They manipulate love to fit their needs. The man is the one who gives, who sacrifices, who builds the connection. But what does he receive in return? Not the unconditional affection he believes he's being given, but an arrangement, a carefully designed bargain where his emotional investment is used to solidify her place in his life. This is not love. It is a negotiation, a deal, where one side always knows exactly what it wants. Seduction is not an accident. It is a skill, a calculated art that women have mastered over centuries. From the moment a woman enters a room, she is playing a game that is built on the manipulation of desire. She knows that men are driven by their senses, their emotions, and their primal instincts. And with this knowledge, she becomes an expert at controlling those instincts, pulling them in like a moth to a flame. But the true power in this game lies not in the act of seduction itself, but in the ability to create desire and keep it simmering. Women have the uncanny ability to make men feel as if they are the only ones, the center of their world, while simultaneously keeping them at arm's length. This push and pull, the teasing, the withholding, the subtle games, keeps men constantly chasing. They begin to believe that their satisfaction, their happiness, is tied to winning her over, to securing her affections. And yet, the more they chase, the further they are pulled into the web, the more they fall under her control. This is the essence of seduction. It is not about giving yourself fully, but rather about giving just enough to keep them hooked, always wanting more. The key to a woman's mastery is her ability to be both distant and alluring, to make men feel special without ever fully committing to them. She doesn't have to make grand gestures or declarations. She simply uses her presence, her voice, her smile, and her touch as instruments of control. The man believes that she is the one who has ignited his desire, when in reality, she is the one who holds the match, choosing when to strike and when to let the fire burn out. In the game of seduction, the woman holds all the cards, and the man is simply playing for her attention. There is a carefully crafted myth that floats through modern culture like perfume, seductive, sweet, and poisonous. It is the myth of the eternal female victim, the innocent girl, forever misunderstood, perpetually wronged, always blameless. Society has trained men to see women as these delicate creatures in need of saving, incapable of malice, immune from accountability. But behind this mask of innocence lies one of the most effective weapons a woman can wield: moral immunity, the power to play helpless while orchestrating outcomes behind the scenes. Because when you are perceived as the victim, your motives are never questioned, your actions never scrutinized. You are always justified. This is the brilliance of the illusion. By leaning into weakness, a woman becomes powerful. She doesn't need to raise her voice. She doesn't need to dominate a room. All she has to do is suggest that she's been wronged, and the world will rally to her defense. Men will trip over themselves to protect her, to apologize, to fix whatever harm they believe was done, even if she was the architect of the chaos. Even if the damage was intentional, it will never be seen as her fault. She simply walks away untouched, her image of purity intact, while the man is left holding the guilt. In this dynamic, the roles are inverted. The one who appears vulnerable holds the most leverage, because power doesn't always scream. Sometimes it cries. Sometimes it looks away with trembling lips and wet eyes. And in doing so, it pulls the strings of entire rooms, entire systems, entire lives. The myth of innocence is not just a lie, it is a strategy. And when mastered, it makes any confrontation unwinnable. Because how can you fight someone who has already convinced the world she's the one being hurt? Beauty is not a gift, it is a weapon. A woman's physical appearance has the power to disarm, distract, and manipulate in ways that intelligence alone could never achieve. The power of charm, the allure of femininity, is a tool that many women wield with surgical precision. It's not about being conventionally attractive. It's about using whatever assets one has, whether they're sharp cheekbones or a soft smile, to control the direction of a conversation, to influence emotions, and to steer outcomes. It is a quiet form of dominance that operates under the radar, unnoticed by most, yet potent enough to reshape the course of events. A man, conditioned by society to prize beauty above all else, will often overlook what lies beneath. A woman's charm, then, becomes a cloak, protecting her real intentions and masking any negative traits. The seductive pull of beauty lures men in, and before they even realize it, they are already under her influence. Her appearance serves as the perfect distraction, blurring their vision, making them forget to question her motives or actions. It is a clever subversion of attention, allowing her to navigate social and professional landscapes with ease, all while maintaining the upper hand. The true skill lies in how a woman uses this charm. She doesn't need to be overtly seductive. She only needs to remain just tantalizing enough to keep a man's attention, just enigmatic enough to make him feel like there's more to discover. The result? He's trapped in the illusion that he is the one in control, while all along, she's been playing the game, moving the pieces, and orchestrating outcomes from behind the veil of beauty. It's not about being nice or good. It's about being unforgettable. There was a time when chivalry meant honor. It was the code of the knight, the framework of male virtue. Protect the weak, uphold dignity, offer kindness where there was vulnerability. But that ancient moral instinct has been turned into a leash. Modern women know exactly how to manipulate this sense of duty, appealing to a man's noblest qualities not to earn respect, but to extract obedience. She plays the damsel, not because she's helpless, but because she knows that his need to protect her is stronger than his ability to see her strategy. She doesn't need force to control him, only the illusion that he's a good man by serving her interests. This manipulation is not accidental. It is instinctual, almost evolutionary. A man raised to believe that a real gentleman opens doors, pays the bill, shields her from hardship, will do these things without asking why. But chivalry today is no longer a moral compass. It is a tool of selective advantage. A woman may demand to be treated like a queen while renouncing all the responsibilities that once came with that title. She will claim equality when it benefits her, and fragility when it serves her cause. This inconsistency is not a contradiction. It is the strategy. The more a man clings to his outdated sense of moral duty, the more pliable he becomes in her hands. Men are not failing because they lack strength. They are failing because they don't recognize when their strength is being used against them. Chivalry has become the Trojan horse, bringing down the walls of masculine instinct from within. And unless a man learns to guard his virtue with discernment rather than blind loyalty, he will remain a servant cloaked in the illusion of honor, kneeling not for righteousness, but for manipulation. There is a tactic far more effective than confrontation, and that is selective vulnerability. Women have mastered the art of turning emotion into currency, not by expressing true suffering, but by manufacturing fragility in moments of advantage. It is not the depth of her feeling that moves a man, but the timing of her tears. She knows when to cry, when to shake, when to look small, because she understands that in a man's eyes, vulnerability is not a weakness when it comes from a woman. It's a trigger for protection, guilt, and submission. She doesn't need to win the argument. She needs only to feel hurt. And suddenly, she's already won. This is not sincerity. It's performance. And it is the most effective form of emotional control because it operates under the mask of innocence. A man is disarmed not with logic, but with emotion he cannot bear to confront. When she trembles, he softens. When she retreats, he pursues. He forgets his original point, his boundaries, even his own pain, and instead begins to negotiate with the illusion of her suffering. This is how a woman turns weakness into strength, not by overcoming it, but by wielding it strategically. The cruelty is subtle, but precise. She learns what words sting the most, when silence speaks louder than shouting, when to look away, and when to look broken. And she does not need to believe in her own act. She only needs you to. In that moment, she holds more power than any raised voice or aggressive demand could ever grant her. Because when a man is trained to respond to a woman's pain with guilt and compliance, she no longer has to fight for control. She simply has to feel, loud enough, visibly enough, for him to surrender it willingly. There is a dark genius in accusing others of the very sins you quietly commit. Women, consciously or unconsciously, have mastered this psychological maneuver, projection, not as a defense mechanism in the innocent, clinical sense, but as a calculated form of misdirection. She accuses you of selfishness while exploiting your selflessness. She warns you of betrayal while hiding her own. She points to your indifference while silently detaching herself. It is a sleight of hand, a strategy of blame designed to throw you off balance and keep your attention fixed on your faults, not hers. This tactic works because men, especially those who seek to protect and please, are vulnerable to introspection. When confronted, they reflect, analyze, and question themselves. And in this moment of internal retreat, she seizes control of the narrative. You begin to apologize for things you haven't done. You start justifying actions she misunderstood on purpose. She remains the emotional plaintiff, while you scramble to prove your innocence in a court she built to convict you regardless. It's not truth she's after. It's power through confusion. Projection is not always loud. Sometimes it comes through subtle remarks, sarcastic jabs, feigned concern. She plants the seed of guilt and waters it with insinuation until you carry the weight of her wrongdoings as if they were yours. The cruel brilliance of this strategy is that you don't see the knife until it's already in your back, and you're the one apologizing for bleeding. By accusing you first, she controls the emotional ground. She becomes the victim, the misunderstood, the morally upright, and in your effort to clear your name, you hand her the very control she intended to take. Not by force, not by threat, but by getting you to willingly believe the lie. The emotional currency women deal in is deceptively powerful. It's not about what they give, but what they make you feel you owe. She will claim to love you, but love in this context becomes a form of emotional barter, a transaction where everything is a trade. She will withhold affection, create tension, and pull away at critical moments, all to make you chase after her love, begging for it, proving you are worthy of it. It's a calculated game of push and pull, and the cost is always higher than you expect. You begin to pay, bit by bit, with your self-respect, your time, your energy, and your emotional peace. Every affectionate moment she gives is a reward for your compliance, for bending to her will, for keeping her happy, for satisfying her needs. The deeper you get into the cycle, the more it becomes clear that her affection isn't freely given. It's earned, and it's only earned through sacrifice. You must sacrifice your independence, your sense of self, and your autonomy in exchange for fleeting moments of love that are always conditional. In this exchange, she doesn't just take what she wants. She makes you feel like you're the one who owes her. She plays on your emotions, making you believe that every gesture, every word, is a monumental gift. But what she gives is never as valuable as what she takes, because the price of her love is always your emotional security. You grow desperate for the approval and validation she dangles in front of you like a carrot, and in doing so, you lose sight of your own worth. This isn't love. It's manipulation at its most refined, and the longer you fall for it, the deeper into debt you'll go. What she offers is an illusion, and your soul is the collateral. There's a lie that society constantly feeds you, wrapped in soft words and grand gestures. True love exists. They tell you it's about finding someone who completes you, someone who will stand by your side through thick and thin. But the truth, true love, as they paint it, is a myth, an idealistic fantasy that women want you to believe in because it gives them power over your emotions. It's a tool for control. The myth of true love is the perfect mask for the manipulation that lies beneath. You've been conditioned to think that love is unconditional, that it should make you feel whole, and that it will be this flawless bond that requires no real work or effort. But in reality, love is transactional. It's about what you give versus what you receive, what you sacrifice for her affection, and what she takes from you in return. She may claim that love is about giving everything, but look closer. Love, in its purest form, is about having your needs met. It's about a power dynamic. Love isn't blind, it's self-serving. Women understand this dynamic well, and they use it to their advantage. True love doesn't exist in the way you've been led to believe. What you see as devotion is often just a strategy, an emotional chess game to keep you hooked. You become emotionally addicted, believing that the highs of affection are worth the lows of manipulation. It's a delicate balance of control. And while you think you're receiving something pure, all you're actually getting is an illusion. The more you chase this fantasy, the more you blind yourself to the reality of what love truly is. True love is understanding the dynamics at play, knowing that your worth is not defined by how much you give or how much you suffer for someone else's affection. The sooner you wake up, the sooner you stop chasing this myth and start living in reality.